What is freaking out? My name is Eve.
My name is Sarah.
And we are Burnt Out Perfectionist. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yes, we are back.
Back again.
Yes, who's back? Oh, better not do that for too long. We may be demonetized.
Demonetized?
Yes. For sounding so good.
We don't get monetized anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Because we be in Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Sarah, what was your survive and thrive over the past week and a half?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I had them written down at one point. The first day of school went smoothly, so that was lovely.
Nice.
So that can sometimes be like a nervous stressor for like, you're nervous about your kid being nervous about them wanting to get things, and then your kid also can be. So that went really well. We had a pause and stop as we were walking into the parking lot of like, I don't want to do this. And we're like, yeah, sorry, got it. She was like, okay. Eve was nice enough to have the day off. So I was able to go with my husband, with my kid on the first day of school, which was really awesome and I appreciate. And, I got free tickets to Denim on the Diamond, which is a music festival in the interior of British Columbia. And it was super awesome because not only were they all amazing singers on the day that I was there, which was Saturday, but they had this DJ in between, a DJ pair, and it's Vavo, which is Vavo. And they do like EDM mixes of country music. So they were doing that like in between and at the end. And like, I felt like I was 20 years old at like a music festival again. I loved it. And then I've actually like started like following them on like Apple Music and Spotify and stuff. So that way I could like rock out when I'm like cleaning or doing whatever. And it's just a really nice mix. It's not as like trap. It's more like, I don't know. I just like the way it ended. I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm just going to sit here and bump along. But yeah. And then my survive. I'm already at the point where I'm like, what do I make you for lunch? But I've tried just like alternating like different, like make different muffins, different types of cookies and add other things in there because she's really good about having produce in her lunch, but it's like, I want her to have something that'll like help sustain her. She was really good the first week with eating her lunch. So far this week, it has been like, we pick her up and she's starving. And I'm like, did you eat your lunch? Well, I had something, but then I was talking with this person. And I'm like, ma'am, I understand you are social, but you need to eat your food.
I feel like they need to have like 10-minute quiet time where you like eat your food and then it's like, now you could talk. I know that sounds kind of like
it isn't as not. So they give them like 15 minutes in most schools to like have their like eating part, and then they go outside and play for the rest of it. But her teacher this year is really great. She has a rule where you can send extra snacks. So in the middle of the day, so like 2, actually no, most kids get out like 2:30, 3 o'clock. So it must be, they have lunch earlier in the day. So it's like 1:30, 2 o'clock. They have like some form of like quieter reading time and the kids are allowed to eat. They're allowed to have a snack and stuff like that, especially if they feel that they need it. She was just like, can you make it an easy snack and like not some elaborate thing? So that way, you know, they could eat it with one hand is what was specified. So they can like hold a book with the other. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. There's lots of different things going on. It's a survive, but it's like a pretty typical one that I knew was going to happen.
Also, you're only like 5 days in.
I'm like trying out all the different things. I even tried making like onigiri, which I did at the end of the year. And she likes those. But then I was like, oh, perfect. It's really hard. She loves the avocado ones. She doesn't really like a lot of like meat and stuff and things in her lunch kit. So I was like, oh, they have this avocado that's just avocado with a little bit of sea salt smashed into like containers because avocados are very touch and go right now. Like they're either hard as the rock or they're like dead right away, and they usually start like gradually rising in price for obvious reasons. They're like out of season and being brought in from other places. Mm-hmm. So I got those like cups that were on sale at Costco, which I know is not environmentally friendly, but you know what? Sometimes I just have to do things to help my life. And I was like, oh, perfect. I'll use these. That way I always have avocado. It's always ripe. It's not going brown. Can make the rice, do the stuff with the seaweed. Janet, she's like, what is wrong with this avocado? I was like, what? She goes, it's like so salty and it just doesn't taste right. So then I asked my friend next door, I was like, what the heck? She goes, Yeah, my entire family said the same thing, so I ended up eating all of them. And I was like, fuck. It tastes exactly the same, but I think because it's like whipped and not like chunky avocado, it's not guacamole though. Like it's just the stuff. I don't know. I think it's just a consistency thing.
No, it's too salty. Like,
I don't know. I'm like, what? Just the look on my face of like, dang. Because I was like, oh, like, we could take this and like throw it on toast in the morning or whatever. Like, it's so whatever. And I was like, well, no, moving forward, I'll only get that for myself.
you can maybe find a different brand.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, maybe I'm like, well, worst comes to where if we don't have avocados, I'll just stick cucumber in it because I feel like I can always get cucumber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your survive and thrive?
My survive is I need to shower today and I don't want to.
Oh my God, right. You could just stand outside in the rain, use a little shampoo.
My scalp, well, my survive is I had a shower, I put my hair in a bun, and then I woke up in the morning and I was annoyed because my hair it was all over the place. Yeah. So then I was like, oh, I'll braid it. So then I braided it and then left it in and then woke up the next morning and my hair was all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's just, I waited an extra day because I work. Steve Wednesday.
Yeah, you work tomorrow.
I work tomorrow. So I was like, oh, I like to have a shower the day before I go to work. I'm just like, feel gross. Then I was like, I'm going to put on clean clothes because I'm going to have a shower and then I'm going to need to like put clean clothes on anyway, but I don't want to sit in my pajamas.
Yeah.
I just feel weird recording in my pajamas.
You're just like, I'm not in the right mindset.
No, I'm just like, I still have that like sleep feeling. I don't know. And then my thrive is we can't talk about the thrive because we're working on the thrive, but I can't talk about said thrive.
We can report though that the person who is close to our family is progressing great.
Oh yeah, but I meant the other thrive.
Oh, I know. We can't talk about that right now, but at least we can give an update to the reason why we didn't have an episode on Monday.
Oh, I was but yeah, they're doing great. We can't say anything else, but they're doing great.
Which is awesome. We got really good news yesterday, so we're really excited. So things are looking up.
But yeah, we have exciting things in the works.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out other stuff. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of planning for October.
Yeah. Also, the new launch for Overwhelmed was delayed, and then we're going to be actually like completing the launch of the newer collection. Yeah, in the next like week or two.
Well, I announced it last night.
Oh, you did? Okay, I missed that part. So just like make sure that you go on the Overwhelmed the Label TikTok because that's where there's like a lot of stuff that's on there, and then you can get up-to-date stuff and everything. Thank you, everyone, for understanding the delay and the reason why we did not have an episode on Monday. We greatly appreciate it.
On today's episode, we shall be discussing navigating. Jesus Christ.
What? What's that?
That was a fucking broom. Navigating identity and understanding and embracing who you are.
Okay, I think a big thing that like brought this idea to light when I did the podcast outline is mainly because in the last couple of years, like we've obviously like you're constantly figuring yourself out, whether you're like entering a different decade of your life, whether it's you're becoming a teenager, you're becoming like you're in your 20s or you're turning 30, and there's a lot of those stages when it comes to it. But then I also saw a lot of people who are like, oh, rediscovering who I am because I found out I have ADHD or like an autoimmune disorder. So you finally figure out like who you are and what you need to adjust and just not do anymore because it just doesn't serve you. Is that the right thing that I should say?
It sounds terrible.
I know. I think it's because I'm old.
It's kind of like every transitional time period of your life where you leave things behind, you gain new skills and stuff like that. Learning about yourself, because it's like a lot of the time when you're in school, like elementary, middle school, you're all learning the same thing. Like you like certain things more than other things, but it's not like a game changer. And then it's like you become an adult and it's like, oh, you need to sort all of this out and figure it out. But everything, you have the opportunity to do anything you want, but you have to decide what you want.
I think a big thing too is just realizing that you will never consistently be the exact same person ever.
Well, you can be, if that's what you're content with.
Yeah, like you can be to a certain extent, but like when you're in those, like, you're not the same person that you were at 5 years old. You're not going to be the same person that you were at 13. You can be consistent and a lot of things will be the same, but there's always going to be times that you will like adjust, whether it's for the good or for the bad, what you decide to do and stuff like that. Like everyone will go through different, I don't really want to say phases, but like I love the whole saying of like different seasons in life. There's different like sets. Like you
just think of autumn. I'm sorry. When I hear seasons, I'm like Noah Khan, Autumn, Gilmore Girls.
Right.
You.
I think a big thing is it's just like defining as well. Like you'll see all these things. I think it's very different too with like social media. So you'll see all the different like trends or things that they state that you need to be doing. And it's like, oh, okay, well, should I be doing these things because I'm in this age range? And I was like, no, you don't actually have to be that. That doesn't have to be part of you. Like you need to figure out who you are. For example, we have a sibling who's turning 30 this year. And when I Googled fun ideas to celebrate someone turning 30, because, you know, I did that 8 years ago and I had a kid. So like it's a very different dynamic. And it was all like drinkware, different alcohols you can buy. Like it was very like party forward almost still, which is not this individual at all.
That's not the individual. It's not our sister at all.
No, that's not our sister at all. And then I was trying to think of like other little things that went along. I saw the trend of like death to your 30s. I'm like, totally her jam. Like I love this. This is hilarious.
Yeah. And I think like
death to your 20s. Did I say 30s?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant death
turning 30.
No, death to your 20s. Woohoo, here comes 30. Like that type of thing where it's like more of like a celebration versus like, yeah, I'm turning 30. My life is ending. That's my favorite. I was like, fuck, guys, I'm 38. Don't think your life is ending.
It was like, you're turning 40 in 2 years.
Yeah, my life completely changed at 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you were 30, you moved to Vancouver.
I was already in Vancouver. I turned 30, and 2 weeks later, I had a kid.
I thought you were 31.
No, I was 30, and that was the only reason. I looked at my bracelet, and that was the first time I'd ever seen my age. Because I was like, what's this F30? And Ben goes, because you're a 30-year-old female? Like, he looked at me like, oh, God, those hormones, they be running. And I was like, oh, my God. He's like, what am I? I totally forgot I was 30 because I was completely distracted at the fact that I was extremely pregnant because my kid was overdue.
Oh, yeah, we're all like baby watch.
Yeah.
And you didn't travel or really do anything.
You couldn't. Except for deep clean my house, which they call it nesting, but that's just me in any situation when I'm anticipating something.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's different seasons in life. You'll have different friends. You'll have different stuff like that. And sometimes that can affect like who you feel that you are or what you do. Also like going to school and getting a different career and like adjusting to stuff like that.
I feel like for an identity crisis, it's like a lot of people have one yearly. Like, you know, they're like midlife crisis,
yeah,
stuff like that. But it's like, it's basically where you reach your point of frustration that you're just like, I'm not happy with my life and I don't know where to go.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of them are geared towards like financials.
Financials are like, the common that I saw was like financials, debt, stuff like that, but it was also like consumer based. So like, I hate everything in my wardrobe. I don't have a style.
Yeah.
One that I saw, the most common was like, I don't have a style, or I'm going to, I just don't. That one girl, her TikTok was so great. I can't remember what it was though, but she's like, this is me putting it on the internet that I am going to work so hard and I'm going to give myself a glow up. Like whether it's financial wise, whether it's clothes, whether it's self-improvement, anything like that. That's what I'm going to do. And she just like must have taken this video when she was just like at the bottom of her cup. And she was just like, fuck this. I'm going to do this type of thing. And then she's like 2 weeks in and this girl has like her hair done.
Oh, yeah.
Her makeup done. She has all this other stuff. And then she listed other things that she did like that weren't consumer based. Like she's like, I finally asked for that raise at my work. I did this. And I was like, she had that turning point. And I think that's the whole thing is like, you can do little things along the way, and some people may do it that way, but there's other people who need to hit like the bottom of the cup before they start doing things.
But I think a lot of people, like, in order to make that improvement, you have to come to the decision, because like if you have somebody else telling you that you're doing something wrong, you usually just like almost like run a rebel against them.
Yeah.
I found that like a lot of people like that, because I've lost friends because they're like, you're too judgy. And I'm like, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying like,
You're perceiving that I'm judging you because you're changing yourself.
yeah.
And it's like, no, I've had people do that to me too, where they're just like, oh, I feel like we just don't want the same things. And it's like, yeah, because like you're currently in your party phase and I maybe am not in my party phase anymore. Or I'm adjusting my life to adapt to the fact that I have a family and you're not in the current same situation as me.
I think like, I remember when I entered my 20s, well, I was an adventurous time. And I remember our mom had talked to me and she was like, you didn't have the traditional college experience, because I went to college during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I just feel like you're not going out and socializing. Like, I'm worried. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't want to travel. I hate meeting new people. It makes me very uncomfortable. Yes, I understand that if I want to get married someday, I do need to talk to another man.
Yeah.
To another man. Talk to a man and like put myself out there. But the thought of doing that,
It's just not appealing at this point in time.
no, I'm never like, I'm not the type of person to do it. I'm still in the very much mindset that like, I'm gonna go to a bookstore or a coffee shop. There's gonna be a cute guy. He's gonna ask me out, and then we're just gonna get married.
You're looking for the Hallmark effect?
Literally. Because I don't like the games that people play.
Oh my God,
Like,
no.
And like, I know a lot of people like are like, oh well, you're too picky, or this is. I'm not picky. No one's come knocking on my door. But to me, why am I gonna sacrifice my time wasting it on somebody else who obviously doesn't want the same thing? And if you're a person who's like, I want a relationship, and then you just screw around, fuck you. Like, if you want to screw around, there is so many people who are happy to do that.
Yeah, there's people who are in that phase of their life right now.
I'm very happy to do that.
Yeah.
Well, when you've decided and you put yourself out there saying that you want a relationship and you want to settle down, as we like to say it, I feel like you need to realize that when you put yourself out there for that, and there's people who want that commitment, to be like, if you're like, oh my God, I don't want that commitment, then you need to communicate that. Because the amount of am I the asshole or all of those types of things that I hear about people cheating on other people because they didn't have, like, they've lost the excitement in their relationship.
I'm like, what is this excitement that everyone talks about?
No, but it's, if you, like, I am extremely against cheating. I'm any form of cheating.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's, like, a terrible lack of communication that you need to just sort out. Like, I understand it's scary to break up with someone, or it's scary to, like, have that communication of, like, hey, I don't feel like we're on the same page anymore.
But why is it better to lie to said person?
Why is it better to cheat on them, and that can cause that person, like, a girl or guy, you cheat on them, and then you're like, oh, actually, I'm not in love with you anymore. I've been cheating on with so-and-so. So much worse than, like, hey, I don't feel like we're in the same place anymore. I think, like, I feel like I still want to be adventurous, and you're ready to settle down. And yeah, that's shitty in the moment, but I feel like it's better for the person who's being broken up with versus like, oh, I'm cheating on you with your best friend. Or
I feel like it's like way less of like a mental load, because it's like you'd rather just have one break up with you. Oh my God, I saw it coming out of nowhere. Then and you're like sad or whatever, and you like figure it out and then you talk about it. Then like the definitive of like, oh, I chose somebody else. Goodbye.
well, yeah, and it's like, well, what does that person have over me?
Oh,
What did I do? And stuff like that. And that causes more of a heartache for the people there. It's like same with people, like when people get frustrated of like, I saw this TikTok and it was this chick having a business meeting. Like she works at a marketing company.
Oh, okay.
And she was having a business meeting with this guy. And his girlfriend came and was losing her mind. And she was like, you know, this is a business exchange. And every comment was like, you should have clarified if he was in a relationship. And she goes, why? It was a business exchange.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with me dating him at all. It was a business, like, we were talking about business stuff. And they're like, oh, well, like, out of respect, maybe you should have invited her. And she's like, no, it's a business thing. And, like, if he didn't communicate it was a business thing and she's, like, super frustrated and, like, thinks that he's cheating on her, like, that's their own relationship that they need to figure out.
Oh my God, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, that is some, like, definitive, that's boundaries, but that's also the effect of, possibly, someone screwed around on that girl before, and now she's just going to be constantly paranoid.
Also,
it's not the other girl's issue when it's work, though. That's what I don't understand.
But it's also not, it's not anybody's fault, because it's like, you're basing it off of, yeah, cool, you were cheated on before.
Yeah.
And you're, like, paranoid about it, but also, you adding that paranoia to your relationship's just going to let it fail.
Well, and it's just always looking at the end versus just, like, going along with it.
Oh my God. My biggest ick is the ones that, like, have been dating for, like, 15 years, and they're like, oh, he just doesn't want to put a ring on it.
Oh, okay, what is it? It was one of the podcasts that I was listening to, and they were just like, okay, like, I get it. Like, if you're with somebody, but they were just like, to me, the max is, like, 3 years. And if nothing is progressing either way, like, that you're, like, moving in together, or you're doing whatever, like, or you're engaged, or you have, a spoken agreement or whatever, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, don't waste your life.
Also, it's like, oh, well, I remember I saw Shay Mitchell say, well, if he leaves me, that if some other girl wants him, he can take him. And I'm like, that's not a relationship to me. A relationship to me is, like, you're together. You're a partnership. You work together. Like, you work as a...
Yeah. I think for people like her, though, I think it's because, like, she would have to change her name on a bunch of paperwork, and I think she'd be worried about him taking her money from her companies. I think that's what that is.
I don't know. I feel like that all alludes to, like, a lot of people were in, like, teenage relationships, and then they go into college, and they, like, break up because of it, and they're like, this is the first time I've been free, and had, like, an identity crisis of not being with someone.
Yeah, no, guys, you're not having an identity crisis. You're moving from high school to college. That's your identity crisis right there.
Like, oh my God. Like, we broke up. We've been together forever. I don't know what to do. I'm like, then you didn't have hobbies outside of that. And, like,
it's that whole thing about, like, not just becoming that girl in that relationship. That's it. That's, like, a big thing, is there would be a lot of people who just get lost in things, and they make it either about the relationship or just about the other person, and they'll ditch friends that were, like, good friends, not, like, friends who were being assholes.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll only adopt to having, like, friends that are their, like, person's friends or whatever, which is fine, like, in a way, depending on if, like, you have a super amount of, like, shitty friends and you're, like, revamping it, and at least you have supportive people in your life. But also, like, have a line where, like, it's okay if they go golfing. It's okay if they go to hang out with a bunch of other, in my situation, I'm going to say this, but, like, a bunch of other dads. And, like, don't be a bitch about it.
Also, if you're so frustrated and, like, oh, he's going out and golfing all the time, and you're like, oh, well, I never get to do that. Have you talked to them about it? Like, oh, I think I'm going to start.
Here, I'm going to start doing blank.
And then start doing pottery.
Yeah.
On Tuesday.
I was going to say basket weaving. I don't know why my brain immediately basket weaving.
Golf. If she wants to do golf. But have you told that to them? Like, oh, they're golfing all day. Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm really glad that you love that hobby. You know, me and some of the moms are going to go golfing on Tuesdays. It'll be great. And, like, I remember I saw this chick and she was, like, a motivational, I think she was a motivational speaker. And she was talking about how many times, and it was a bunch of women, it was like, how many times has your husband texted you in the past 30 minutes?
Oh my God, I've seen that girl. It's hilarious. She does it at every single one of her things.
And it was like,
about something that is specific And, like, they should know was one of the other things that she said.
Oh, my God. Sarah knows. The amount, like, of anybody messaging or calling more than twice revolving a subject. Google is a thing. And not always eyeballs.
Also, I'm assuming someone's knowledge about the world. I had this conversation with my sister-in-law. When someone, like, assumptively assumes, either because you're at home or you're the most readily available person, that they need to make this definitive decision, but you actually know nothing about said subject. She was like, I'm not the person that you should call, especially when you have all these other people who can help you make this decision because they're actually educated in the subject. But just because I'm the easiest person to get a hold of, it doesn't mean that I should be the only person. And, like, why are you putting this all on me? Like, especially if it's like a high cost situation, like, I don't make that decision for somebody else.
Also, it's like, why are you asking everybody to make that decision? And why do you, like, there's such a over reliance on codependency in this world, and it pisses me off.
There is, and that's the whole thing is I always, if I have something that I'm trying to think of doing, I'll ask somebody who is in a similar situation to me, and then I'll ask Eve. Well, you're a pretty good thermometer, and I usually try to ask people who are just like, a lot of my best friends are blunt, to be totally honest, which is great.
I feel like when you also ask me questions about things, like, so Sarah will send me a text message that's usually very generic, and it'll be like, what is your opinion on
blank?
Yeah. Let's say purchasing AirPods.
Yeah.
Common thing that people do.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think about AirPods? Well, what do you want to know about them?
Yeah. Do you want to know specs? That's on the fucking internet, doorknob.
I'm like, so, well, I'm thinking about buying them, but I don't know which one. Okay. For what?
Yeah.
Well, I had that first AirPods and they're starting to die, so I want to get new ones. Like, okay. What do you want to use them for? Because AirPods might not be the thing that you require, might be something else. The specs. Okay, well, I know that the AirPod Pros are not going to fit your ears. So you might as well get the AirPod 3s. I have them. I really like them. Oh, okay. Well, how much are they? Buy them at Costco. Why? Because you can return them if they break. Okay, cool. Done. Versus other people just have, well, what do you think about this? Well, do you want a different color? What size are they? How do you feel about it? I don't give a shit. I really don't care if you want a different color. You put a different case on it. But when someone asks me a question that's, like, very generic, like, XYZ, like, what should I give my kid for lunch? Okay, well, what currently is she eating at home?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Can you make that and put that on lunch? Well, she doesn't like it because of this. Okay, well, that's information that I required prior to that. But it's, like, the reliance of, like, oh, my God, my husband did this. Okay, cool. You married him.
Yeah.
Live with your decisions.
Well, but that's the whole thing too. Also, it's just like the example that I give. I think I talked about in the last episode where I was like, something is not working now with the setup of my kitchen. I clearly need to figure this out. So because Eve has actively been in my kitchen, getting things and doing stuff like that before, I was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And she's like, okay, this is good, but did you counter in this and this?
Coffee machine versus the ice machine.
Oh, yeah. She's like, why don't you move where these things are too? And I was like, oh, I never thought of that. And then she's like, okay. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Thank you so much. Like, done. Like, I already had an idea and then I came forward with it. And then my friend lives next door and her place is the complete opposite of mine.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, before I start ripping things apart, before I have like over romanticized what I think is going to be this epic change, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think? And I put all this stuff on and she goes, okay. And then she starts going through the stuff and she's like looking because I was like, I'm going to move this to here and this stuff. And she was like looking. She's like, okay, that stuff will fit there. Okay. And she's like going through the stuff. She goes, yeah, I think it'll work. I was like, okay. And she's like, did you make sure that your plates will fit in these upper cabinets? Because we live in older places, so they're a little bit shorter. And I was like, oh my God. So I grabbed it and stuck it in there. And she's like, don't forget about like my kids, like, she has one of those, like, I called it, look like prison trays. They're made out of plastic. And she's like, you make sure it goes in there. I was like, okay, cool. I stick it on my gal, it'll work. She's like, okay, sweet, you're going to want to adjust that shelf down so that way you have more room here. And she's like, by the way, when I was peeking in this one cupboard, the shelf looks like it's going to fall off. Which is great because I have a ton of those like shelving. I ended up buying a bunch of the metal ones because all the plastic ones from like 1978 are no longer with it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Something I might not have noticed. And she's like, yeah. Also, if you have any more of like the shelf liner, because I didn't do it in one of them, she's like, you might want to put it down because it looks a lot brighter and you can see a lot more things. I'm like, fuck, that's so smart.
But also, I feel like
getting a different perspective is okay, or like justifying a decision to a certain point is okay, but then also being like comfortable to make decisions yourself and not being reliant on other people.
I think on the flip side, though, if you're asking people for their opinions, you need to understand that they're going to give their opinion.
Yeah.
And if you're expecting a specific outcome, then you shouldn't be asking them their opinion.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you know what you want to do, then just fucking do it.
Like, very common question that Sarah will give me is, what color should I dye my hair? Most of the time. Or she'll send me on a Pinterest board. And I'll say, do you have anything important that requires your hair color to be a specific color? No. Okay, what are the no's? Done. And then it's like, if I told her, like, we'll tell her, I'm like, well, I really liked when your hair was like this. She's like, well, I don't want it to be like that. I'm like, cool, you asked my opinion, you got my opinion. Take it or leave it.
You were also like, what did you not like about that?
Well, exactly. Like, even when I cut and dye everybody's hair in the family, and they'll be like, well, I didn't like this. I'm like, okay, did you tell me that? No, then you just need to tell me, and it's like one extra cut.
Yeah.
And it's like, people take identity crisis, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm not happy with who I am. I want to do this extreme thing in a short time.
Yeah.
If I said, I want to lose 150 pounds.
From where?
But like, just in general, like big numbers, 150 pounds.
Yeah.
Today, I weighed like 350 pounds.
Oh, okay.
I want to lose 150 pounds. I want to lose it in 6 months.
Okay, well, support you the best that you can. I hope you see a nutritionist and don't starve yourself.
But
like,
is
that's your choice.
Is that physically possible?
Probably not. I was like, from what I've understood from things that I've seen, in a healthy way, no.
But also, I feel like your identity should not, like, a lot of people are, like, doing it based on looks.
Yeah.
Versus, like, I would say yesterday, I had a minor identity crisis. Because I feel like it's a bit dramatic. I had a mental tizzy. Because I was like, oh my God, the podcast is getting more downloads. Then the website that we use redid their analytics, and I took away a lot of them. And I'm like, oh, I thought we were doing a lot better than we were.
Because it removed, like, bots, and they said that a lot of their stuff was a lot more accurate. So it, like, dropped what we saw as downloads by, like, 400.
Yeah, so I was like, wow. And so I was a little, like, frustrated because I was like, man, I thought we were, like, getting higher in these, and now let's take them all away. In the grand scheme of things, it's better to have real people than bots.
100%.
We don't pay for.
Do you want the false bump? Sometimes you do. Sometimes you want to be like, oh, look at me go.
Well, and it's like, oh my God, there's this many, there's this many, there's this many. So I was like, oh, I thought we were doing a lot more than we were. And I was like, well, whatever. And so for like 15 minutes, I was like, well, I'm just going to scroll on TikTok. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to make content, because if I want things to succeed, I need to at least put more effort in for them to succeed.
Yeah, like, if you want to see a change, you have to put work in for change, no matter what it is.
But it also doesn't need to be like, if you're $50,000 in debt and you're like, wow, I want to pay it off in a year. Do you have an extra $50,000 in income? Probably not.
That's probably why you're in the $50,000 worth of debt.
So, like, it's a great way, instead of looking at things going, you know, I need to evaluate my spending habits, or I need to evaluate what I'm eating. Like, I watch Jaclyn Hill every once in a while, but when it's like, in September, I'm going to eat healthy meals and this, and everybody's like, yes, I'm going to do that too. But you also need to realize that her husband's a chef. So she doesn't have, like, and I think she said she doesn't have to think about it as much.
There's less mental load, is what she said.
She's not, like, having to come up with, if you've been eating McDonald's for the past 3 years for every single meal, and then you've decided you want to eat something different, it's probably not going to taste good because you've been eating McDonald's for the past 3 years.
Or you're going to have like a misunderstanding. Like a lot of people I'll see when they're like, I'm going to lose all this weight, I'm going to bulk meal prep, and they'll make food and they'll put like 0 seasoning on it. And I'm like, okay, like I know a lot of people are worried, especially if they get told something that they may be pre-exposed to like a heart condition or something. They'll immediately like want to completely eliminate salt. But like you do need a little bit of salt. But like you have to have these things, but you also don't have to like torture yourself while you're doing it. Like that meat, you could make like a salt-free taco seasoning. You could do all these other things, and it'll be like, sometimes it's like a mass extreme when you decide to make this like identity change.
Yeah.
And it's like so extreme, and I'm going to sound like a bitch. It's so extreme that you're setting yourself up to fail.
But also you're putting more strain on yourself to have that. Like,
Putting so much more like, I love that, the like phrase of like mental load. You're putting like way more on yourself than what you need to be when you could be making little changes and gradually work your way up, instead of like what I feel like social media is really pronounced, where a lot of people are like, fuck this, I'm going to get this shit done right now. I'm dropping every single thing that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it like this, which I don't doubt it. But I also feel like a lot more success and sustainability would be like working up to it.
Also, like, I find that a lot of people, their identity crisis, they'll be like, I'm going to redo a space, which I love to do redo a space.
Oh, I love to rearrange some furniture.
But
I'm going to do it again, Benjamin. Heads up.
Oh my God, I love rearranging. It brings me so much joy.
It does. To me, it just like makes the space new.
It does, but also like, I feel like for me, when you're moving around a space that you haven't moved around in a while, you get the like crevasses that you haven't been able to clean.
Those fucking baseboards. That little bit.
Not even the baseboard.
Mine is like that piece of carpet that's between the baseboard and like the main part, you know, like the part that like dips down and it gets like permadirt, and you just get in there and you're like,
but like, even so, 2 days ago, yeah, it would have been Monday. I looked at Sarah and I was like, I'm not recording the podcast today. I'm going to automify my room.
and I was like, okay, have fun.
So and I'm going to go on a tangent because I have finally found my identity crisis with trying to find sheets that didn't piss me off.
Yeah.
I got Casper rust-colored sheets 2 years ago from Marshall's. They were like $70. I got them in a king size, and I have never loved a pack of sheets more. Now, you may be going, why do I love sheets? I have an issue with textures, and those cottony, like, sateen textures, terrible. Makes me itchy, makes me uncomfortable, I don't want to sleep.
They're also super hot, so it makes you sweaty.
Yeah. So I got these Casper ones. I put them on my bed. They have a 2.5-inch elastic all the way around, so they don't fly off my bed.
Mm-hmm.
The pillowcases are long enough that the zipper and the tag of my pillow does not come out and scratch my face, and the pillowcase does not come off. And then I purchased from H&M Hope this like teal duvet cover. Boom, fall. Never been happier. And then when I went to Dollar Tree, I found these collage. One second.
I love it. You're like, I'm going to get these for you so you can see them.
I will, because they had these collage, which I'm a hoe for a collage, and they're kind of like postcards. So they had 4 sets.
Okay.
I got all 4 because I like certain.
Were they like $1.25 or $2?
Of course they were. So there was like these Zen ones.
Okay.
There was like more of like a colorful, like cutesy one. Then there's retro.
Oh my god.
And then there's super colorful.
Not you making me want to go to the Dollar Tree.
I always. Mom didn't even see these. So I bought one of each pack because I love a good postcard. I use them in my journal because sometimes the pen leaks through the page and I just need to slap a big picture on it.
Yeah.
So I use those. So I've had those. I got those on the weekend, and I was like, you know what? I have that collage frame that, like, everybody in the early 2000s had.
Yeah.
And I put all of the different ones in. I got this cute little pumpkin from Dollar Tree, and I remember I said to our mom, I was like, man, I'm sorry. I didn't really do anything else. I just wanted to change up my sheets and do this. And she was like, why are you apologizing?
Yeah.
Your room is so colorful now. But, like, to me, if I can do that, my brain feels calm. Because sometimes I don't have, like, germophobia or, like, anything like that. But sometimes when I'm laying in bed and I'm like, I wonder how many dead skin cells are currently in these sheets. And then I get up and
sheets every week.
I do too.
Because I'm so paranoid.
But I'm like, oh, I want to do this. Or I want to do this. And it's like, I feel like the, like, question for a while is like, oh, I don't have a hobby. And then it's like, you do have a hobby, but, like, you don't need a hobby to be happy.
I have, like, temporary, I had that whole thing, like, last year where I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't do a lot of the hobbies that I used to do. Like, sometimes I would sit and, like, play video games to, like, chill out or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I haven't started doing that stuff. And then it was like, I think it was more like the get up and go when it came to it. So I'm more inspired to do things such as etc. or try out new recipes if my kitchen's clean. So I made sure my kitchen was clean. And then I made sure that I was able to, like, put the stuff away. So, like, there's nothing worse when, like, you're baking and then you put the bowl to the side and then it just becomes cement, which is, like, the story of my life. And you're like, I wanted to be able to have it so that way I could put the dishes in, and I had to start, like, a routine. And then once I had that routine of having, like, the kitchen clean, making sure that I had more of a system of, like, loading the dishwasher at night, unloading it in the morning type of thing, and not, like, being mad at myself if I missed that, because, like, I can just walk right in when I get home in the evening, unload the dishwasher and refill it, and there's just extra stuff in there, which is totally fine. And also, like, going through my dishes and basically getting rid of anything that says hand wash, because why? Why do those exist? They don't work for my life.
I don't have dishwashers.
Yeah, I was like, they work for my life. They don't work for my life. But being like, okay, I can do this. Also, that I don't have to make 24 of that new type of muffin recipe that I'm making. I can just make 12 and see if they work out. And if I don't have a certain ingredient, narrow it down. Like, I didn't have eggs one time. So then I found a recipe that was for chocolate chip cookies because I wanted to make cookies, but that had no egg, and try something out that was different. And then the fact of, like, when you actually add up all the time, it doesn't take that long to do it. Like, you're not taking away from something else.
Oh my God. Okay. I have a bone to pick when people say I don't have time to bake cake. Because it pisses me off, because making the batter to bake a cake takes 15-20 minutes. Yes, it takes longer to bake a cake. But to say that I do not have time to bake a cake, I'm like, it takes 15 minutes to make the batter. The oven does the cooking.
But also, you have to know, too, that if you decide that you want to make a cake, but say you want to make the cake, but you only have enough energy to, like, take a cake mix out, add all the stuff and make it, that's okay.
That's also baking a cake. Like,
yeah, it's the same thing. Like, just because you're not sitting there and intricately measuring everything out, it doesn't mean that you're not making something. You're still making it, and you're still doing a good job. But it's like, sometimes people feel like they have to do it, like you have to be, like, bare bones from scratch, and you have to do it this way, and blah, 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 blah. Or make, like, some very, like, intricate dessert when, like, simple things are totally fine.
But I also get really annoyed when people are like, oh, I don't have time to do this. Like, the statement, I don't have time, pisses me off.
Yeah.
And I've talked about it before. You do have time. You use that time for other opportunities.
Also, the excuses at the end of making in your brain, like, oh, well, if I don't do this, it take away from this, so I don't have to do this. Like, I have stuff. I was talking about this the other day with my sister-in-law. I have stuff to make this wreath that I saw. And
the pumpkin colorful one?
No, it's the one for Christmas, the one that looks like the knockoff, like, Anthropology.
Oh my God, the one I sent you last year?
Yeah, but
okay.
I bought all the stuff. But by the time I was able to find all the things that I needed, it was, like, ending for Christmas, and I still had a Christmas wreath that was fine. So, like, I decided not to make it, and I packed the stuff up in my Christmas things. So this year, I have all the stuff, and then I can sit down one day or just, like, slowly work out a way out of it, because now I have it. But I'm not going to shit on myself for not making it and forgetting that stuff and then doing it later, because I'm still doing it. And it's kind of like getting back into the, like, someone may be like, wow, that's an ADHD brain if I ever saw. I was, like, reading a book and I kept folding the pages, but they're really strong paper. And the paper kept like unfolding, kept losing my place. And I didn't have any bookmarks in my house that I could find. This is before you gave my child a giant chunk of bookmarks. And I was like, well,
Wait, you got a giant chunk of bookmarks?
yeah, you got them from the Dollar Tree.
Oh my God, the award ones.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll just like grab a piece of paper or whatever. And then I was like, you know what? I have the time right now and I have nothing else to do. I'm going to go on my Cricut and I'm going to find an SVG to make bookmarks. And I'm going to make some cute bookmarks. So I made like 3 cute bookmarks.
Mm-hmm.
They were all layered. I like did the whole thing, found all the stuff, glued them all together because I made these like layered ones. And then I laminated them and I cut them out. So I made one for my kid's teacher. I made one for my kid decided that she wanted one. And I did like a little like friendship braid tassel thing with like a little bead. And yeah, sure, it took me like an hour to get like everything done and figured out and stuff and sized properly. And then I sat down and I read my book and then I put my bookmark in and I was like, well, that was fun.
I feel like though that's not like an ADHD thing. That's like, I don't have a bookmark. I want to make a bookmark. Like that's allowing to do.
In a weird way, like allowing myself that it was okay to make a bookmark instead of being like, oh, you don't even want to read this book right now. All you're thinking about is a bookmark. Just put it down and go do something else. So like, it's like allowing yourself to do those things without like lecturing the shit out of yourself, I think is a big thing. Also saying no more. I know that's a lot of things that people will work on more, but just being like, no, I'm not doing that. You take responsibility for that.
I think also there's like in the form of it's not like an identity crisis, but also like learning how your behaviors affect other people and like acknowledging that, but also not dreading on it. Like there's a way of saying like if someone says something to you and you were like, oh, well, I didn't know that bugged you, and just saying like, oh, I'm sorry I caused that. Conversation's done. Versus like, I find that people don't want to apologize anymore.
Oh, because they almost see it as like a sign of like weakness or something.
But also like, I feel like then it's like a form of arrogance to like not acknowledge it. Like it's like, oh, that affected you. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like when you're on your personal journey of having an identity crisis, it's very like, not selfish, but it's very like within yourself to be like, well, I'm doing this fitness journey. I'm not going to come out to a restaurant because like there's not going to be anything for me there. But it's like your friend's 30th birthday.
Yeah, it's like weighing the balances between it. Like eat before then.
Also, like, there's a difference between like, oh, I don't want to go because of selling this. Cool, then you're making it about yourself. And like a lot of the time, I feel like, especially after the panorama, a lot of people are like, well, I'm doing this for myself. And it's like, congratulations. I'm glad you're doing it for yourself. But also there's a ton of people out there that like you make false promises to that you haven't fulfilled. And it's like, maybe if you fulfilled those promises, you would feel better about yourself.
100%.
Like, nope, that happens. Gaining a bit of weight, losing a bit of weight happens.
Yeah.
If you're actively like being selfish and not acknowledging the other people because you're like, I'm in this new version of me, that's not an identity crisis. That's basically being like, I don't want to deal with what I've caused and I'm just gonna recreate myself.
Yeah, like you can't just wipe everything completely clean and just start fresh. Like you can want to do that to a certain extent, but then you also need to, and also like let people around you know that's what you're wanting to do in case they see like a large personality change, because that can cause like a worry. Like our mom, when I would be like, I am done with all the shit in my room. I'm going through all the stuff in my room. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to do this. And I would start getting rid of stuff and get rid of. And she would get worried because like one of the signs that they would talk about all the time is if you see like an extreme behavior change, someone could be thinking of like unaliving themselves or something. So she'd come downstairs and she'd be like, hey, like, can I talk? Like, is there any reason why you're getting rid of this stuff? Because like you were super excited when you got it the first time. And I was just like, yeah, because I don't need it. And now it's here and it's like not lecturing me. It's just taking up room, or I just don't need it anymore. And I would try to like explain it in the best way. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, you can do the shock surprise. And I think a lot of people think of that because of like TV shows and movies. And it's like, oh my God, she completely changed herself. Look at how fabulous she is. But it might freak some people out. Some people might be
asses off.
Yeah. Some people and put her hair down. Some people might be assholes about it. You can explain it. They continue to be assholes. Maybe those people are needed in that new phase of your life.
But also like that extreme of like, if you sat down and you were like, okay, I'm not happy with myself. What is the self that I want? And say you were like, I no longer feel comfortable with this and this bugs me.
Yeah.
This is like, my hair's really dry. I'm going to switch out my shampoo. Okay, cool. Well, I think I'm also going to switch out my body wash because like, I want to make my shower experience more fun for the season.
Oh, I need to change mine. That's really funny that you said that.
And like, to me, I love a good seasonal changeover. And I know that I hate summer. And I have voiced it. I have tried to enjoy summer. The thought of summer, it is too saturated. It is too vibrant.
It has a lot of like expectations. Like we said, it's very like busy and there's a lot of like, it's almost like, you have 2 months to live your life, and then everything else is crap, is like the way that it's positioned.
But also it's like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. We talked about yesterday that like I changed over my desktop to be autumn, and I was like, man. And Sarah's like, oh my God, I saw the girl pull out a new keyboard, and it was autumn. And to me, those things bring me joy. I know. Do I need 4 keyboards for my desktop? No. But does it bring some joy? Yeah. Does it bring some joy to have a tiny ceramic pumpkin beside my desk? I don't currently have one.
I was like, I see a strawberry.
It has an M on it.
A strawberry.
Does it bring me joy? Yes. Do I use all of those pens on a daily basis? No. Do I have them all? Yes.
And have they come in handy for other people in the house? Yes.
Oh my God. The amount of times I get a text message saying, hey, do you have this? And I'm like, 3rd drawer on the tiny rolly drawer beside my desk.
And how dead set perfect your photographic memory is. It's the best thing ever.
Thank you.
My favorite is when I'm like, and it's not there. And then I say it out loud and Mom's like, oh, I used this the other day. And I'm like, that's why it's not in the exact spot.
But like a lot of that, or if it's like, oh, well, I hate my living room. It's frustrating me because of this. Just go and buy a new blanket. I'm sorry. There's not an internal identity crisis if, like, you're, like, a beige mom and then you're like, oh, my God.
The millennial gray trend that's going on right now?
Oh, my God, I'm graying. And, like, I'm sorry. I am a hoe for blue. I have always been a hoe for blue.
Okay.
And I love a good, like, transition season stuff. And sometimes I'm like, I like blue in different shades. To the pink community.
Wow. Why are you so loud?
What? I'm sorry. When I look at, and it'll be like any seasonal things or even like colors, and it'll be like, oh my God, do you want 50 shades of pink? And I'm like, I just want blue.
Well, that's really fun.
Purple.
Well, it's like me. I'm obsessed with gray. And not gray. I'm say this again. My favorite color is green. But my favorite derivative of green is a marriage of blue and green, which is either turquoise or teal. And I always like migrate to something like that. And it's always been like my husband laughs, but he's like, well, at least everything matches. So when there's millennial gray, there's Sarah turquoise.
No. It's not turquoise. Let's be honest. It is the 2012 Chevron mint.
Ma'am, we call that Tiffany blue. Thank you.
Oh my God. Everything. She'd be like, oh my God, like I love forest green and I would love to have a library that is like forest green.
Mm-hmm.
But like I love forest green and I love those deep tones, but also like brighter tones. At one point, I'm pretty sure Sarah's entire house, every single accent was Tiffany blue.
Oh my God. The other thing that I did was like black and white. I went for like a whole black and white theme.
And then it was always like chevron or gingham.
Yeah. I love myself a checker.
I like a gingham.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. But I also really enjoy a flannel.
Oh, 100%.
But I also enjoy a nice pattern. But a delicate pattern. Not an aggressive...
Meanwhile, there's...
highlighters. No, I if I was a stationery, I'd be a pastel highlighter.
Yeah.
Because I like to be useful and highlight, but I also don't need to blind you and be generic.
Yeah.
But I feel like people will be like, oh my God, well, like, it's like the owl thing. When people are like, I used to love owls and my whole house is owls.
Oh.
Now I don't like owls.
Everybody my age was obsessed with Paris. There was like a whole thing.
Oh my God,
like
yes.
Paris, leopard, and zebra stripes. That was
And
like
hot pink.
Oh, and it wasn't even just like hot pink. Like it made your eyes bleed. It was so hot pink.
So just a heads up, if anybody's going through an identity crisis, paint your walls white. You can change out the decor.
Yes.
Paint your walls white. Mine are light blue, very, very light blue, or very, very light, like gray or beige.
Yeah.
Do not paint your room neon pink.
No, if you feel like you're going to always, like you've always found yourself in a state of like wanting to make large changes and fast changes, stuff like that all the time, 100% that's it. Have it where it's low cost items that you can either like repaint, whether it's like photo frames or whatever, or having like a base, because you can transform an entire space with the little items that you have, or like you get the little bins for, I don't know, the IKEA organizer. I have those all over my house, and you get them in black. Like the ones upstairs that I have are black, and it works out great. Mm-hmm. But the ones in my kids' room, I have them in blue, and then this beige with like white polka dots, and I alternate them and have them in there. So it adds like color to her room, because her room is just like a base color. It's like beige or whatever, because we live in a rental. But then you have all the other things, and those contribute to like the feel of the room. Like right now, she's got like a bunch of movie posters all over her room of like Sonic and Spider-Man and stuff like that, and that's her room. Like all the things kind of call to that. She's got a blue bed frame, so I have a lot of one of her favorite colors is blue. The other one is orange. So you can lend a lot of stuff to things by changing out simple things. Oh my God, my nose plugged up, and I thought I was going to die.
No, can you cough or sneeze? I've watched you throughout this episode, and I'm like, every time we rip through it, I don't know if it's like,
I don't know if
it's a drink,
or there's something down here that bothers me. I even tried to have a snack and a drink before I came down. Like, I don't know if there's something that like my nose just plugs up. I don't know if it's my version of the millennial pause.
I don't know. I think, honestly, ever since I told you to have a drink from us.
Oh, the chinkling.
Oh my God.
I mean, it was bad for you. It was worse for me, because I'm the one who edits the episode. So I was like, for fuck's sake, Sarah, put your goddamn ice water down.
Like, I'm wondering if it's that. Did you take your meds?
Yeah. I took them at like 10.
I'm trying to think if you had this when we were on the other side of the room.
Yeah, I totally did.
Did you?
Yeah. Also, it's the time of year. It's September.
No, but it's like every episode. I feel this. You know, it's like, because he'll go on a rant and like,
what I should try to do is before we start recording, I should probably take my nasal spray.
That makes sense.
See if that helps.
But I literally just watched your face go red because I was like, you're not breathing properly.
Son of a bitch.
But yeah, but no, I feel like the thought of an identity crisis is like this big influential thing of like getting a divorce or
expensive things. Like, oh, I'm going to go join this like really expensive, like I'm $50,000 in debt, but I'm going to join Pilates.
Oh my God. The Pilates trend.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. To also
shortly after the cycling trend.
Oh, the spin trend. Or it's like all of the smoothie trend, all of this. You know, I'm sorry. I do not understand when people are like, that's the dedication thing of like, I'm having an identity crisis. I'm only going to drink smoothies. I'm going to go in and juice cleanse. I do this.
I call that a hyperfixation. Like if you're planning everything out and you're like, a lot of people need to, again, wipe the slate clean or wipe their colon clean. And they're like, I'm going to do a juice cleanse because I feel like that's the best way for me. And then it's almost like a reset. And then I'll plan out while I'm on this juice cleanse and like make the food and do the stuff that I want to do and come up with like more of a plan. Okay, cool. That's like prepping yourself for training. But if you know that you're going to pass out because you're just drinking juices and you're not going to survive on them, and as again, like coming up with those definitives when even knowing like how your body's not going to respond to them or how your brain won't respond to decisions like that and stuff. Like if you suddenly decide that you want to dress like the 1950s, but you can't find things that fit or they're too short or whatever because you're tall, research things before you do them, like before you like dive in.
Also, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna, I don't, like, I'm not happy with myself. I feel like I'm not growing or I'm not pretty enough or like all of those things. Like, take a step back. Look in. Like, if that doesn't bring you joy, then don't do it.
And you can talk to people, but again, take everything with a grain of salt. And there's also other options like counseling and stuff like that too.
Or just have an app.
Oh, there's apps for everything now, everybody.
Nap.
Oh, nap.
On a nap.
Oh, I love myself a nap. Except for the ones where you sleep for too long and you're like, what decade is this?
Oh my God. Yeah. But honestly, in tune, identity crisis.
Eve's having one right now while she's trying to say it.
Identity crises.
Crisis.
But is that the plural?
Identity crisis. Yes.
I feel like there should be crisis singing. Like me.
Is that like a mental and a physical crisis at the same time? Or?
No, but I was like trying to think of what the plural would be. But you just have to be in tune. If you don't, listen to more podcasts. Read books if you want to read books. If you want to be more comfortable in public, go to coffee shops.
Yeah.
If you want your home to feel more comfortable, then work on that. Like, honestly, have a shower, reset, sit down with your hair up and a towel, write out all of the things and desires that you have, and then, you know what? Take it one step at a time. There's no need to rush.
Oh, yeah. I also, like, totally adjust what, I also go through and, like, will adjust to find content to what suits me. So, like, if I need recipes that are non-dairy, or if I'm interested in a certain style, or if there's other people who are late diagnosed and finding things and I want to learn more about that and how other people have dealt with things or whatever, then I'll curate kind of like my content and save things to there. My other favorite thing to do that Eve laughs at me is almost every season I delete all my Pinterest boards. And then I'll like...
But she re-adds me to all of them. And I'm like, why are you adding me to all of these Pinterest boards? And she's like,
I'm starting new.
Because I need somebody to witness that I'm trying.
Yeah, exactly. I'm starting new. I'm doing my thing. That, and if you need to do those things to kind of help or like get rid of certain things and go through stuff, that's totally fine. Like, change your phone case. Especially if you have that urge to buy that new phone. Change your phone case, change your background, change up your apps.
Oh my God. I'm gonna take that one phone case that I just made and buy it.
Yeah.
So cute.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Maybe I'll post it with the new collection.
I know. I just put like the avocado one I have on from like one of the previous collections. I love the one that you have on your phone right now.
Traveler.
It's so cute.
I don't think it's up anymore.
No, I took all the summer stuff down.
I feel like I need a tunnel. Well, also we got our new phones the last season and it was winter.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing. But yeah, like if you're going through a time right now, you can talk to other people, but like be nice to yourself and make the changes as it's needed. And yeah, reflect on what's realistic and don't overhype yourself to the point of burnout because that does not benefit anybody.
No. And always stay warm and twisted. Peace.
Thank you so much for listening to us on YouTube. You can find us on all of the socials: Instagram, Pinterest,
TikTok,
Facebook,
Snapchat. But if you're more of a, like, just an audio type person, we're on Spotify Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. I think we're on Pandora, iHeartRadio, and you can also check us out on the RSS feed.
Thank you so much for listening, and feel free to go re-listen to some of the episodes that we have.